think I know there's some on the webinar, but we're live now. Okay, here we are.
Hello.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. Let's see. I just gotta confirm. We always confirm. There it is. I know there's some on the webinar, and then it starts echoing back. Okay. Here we are. Nightcapping.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a little heavy-handed.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wait. We're going to start the recording. Welcome to our nightcap. I'm Carlos, and this is my beautiful, gorgeous queen, Chantel. We're here tonight to have a drink. She got a little heavy-handed tonight, and I said, thank you.
Why?
Oh, so I'm
Why
going
do
to
you
take my
think-
glasses off. We just got done with a 3-day, and see, even Jonathan, he can relate. He can relate,
This
guys.
is my peacock. Hello.
He's sitting right up here.
Yeah, he went to bed.
He's got a branch just right outside our window. He can see into Hazel's bedroom and our bedroom. He just hangs out there. Sorry about the thumb in your face, babe. I don't know why
Yeah.
it does that.
Every time you put your thumb up.
Yes. So yeah. I think part of it too is like, wow, 3 weekends in a row where we've been going. The cool part is like we did have we were in Alabama. Hazel had a volleyball tournament in Alabama. We did have a late Saturday tournament, so we slept in and we chilled at the hotel. But I'm just saying, like, there's no place like home for Shabbat. We enjoy our Saturdays.
No place like our own bed.
That's right. And the creek and the animals and Jonathan just scream at us. And yeah, it is amazing. Our dogs, our family. Again, we love traveling and we enjoy being out and about, especially with we got a great group of community. There's a whole nother community in our volleyball group, like because it's club volleyball and some amazing parents. But that's why I said thank you. Because oh man, it's been an awesome week, but gorgeous. How was your day?
Good. Why are the guineas going so crazy? Did they not? I think our guinea fowl, I think they didn't go into the coop for some reason.
One of the things that I recognize is that, well, adapting when we travel. And some of you, I just hope to say thank you to those of you who've been doing some mentorship and things with us. My goodness, it is sometimes you feel like when you're coming off of a weekend where you're just going, and we got back not super late last night, but a little late, and then go to bed, and then you're like, okay, now we got to start our work week. And then it just felt like I was a little bit behind all day. So thank you for your patience with me.
Well, I think that the whole planet was a little off with this eclipse.
That's true.
Did anybody else experience that? I
know,
mean,
right?
we had yeah, it was a number of different things that felt a little not bad, not just a little off. And I can't help but think that like we, on a human level, definitely feel it. We are affected by all the things, and
Yeah.
I know that I felt it, and
Well, and
kind of
everybody,
had to push through a little extra today.
yeah.
Not just because we came off of like a volleyball tournament weekend, but I think like the eclipse, like what is that representation? I don't know. It's like there was like almost like a literally like a darkness that loomed
Covering the light.
Like, and
But so now let's go here a little bit. This is good. Wait, I haven't even talked about this at all, but if we really look at it, it's almost like the sun and moon are coming into synchronicity. So if we look at it as a blessing, like in the Judaism culture, our Judaism, what they talk about is how the woman is represented by the moon, and how she is like, it's more of a spiritual thing. And so it's cool to think about the sun and the moon coming into synchronicity like that. I know it can represent like some darkness and things. However, like looking at it on the positive side, like I would tell you, I am super duper grateful for marriage coming in synchronicity with you hot sexy thing. And you know, when you're in synchronicity with your bride, you feel a lot, sexually, mentally, emotionally, relationally. And we've watched in the last 2 weekends, like before this volleyball tournament, there was 2 weeks in a row where we had some good friends and some good client partners, as we call them, that got married. And it's just unbelievable. We got an opportunity to speak with both of them since their weddings and their honeymoons, both couples, and
Yeah.
just blown away their incredible connection. And
Yeah,
so
man, that's
that's
fun.
that's what I want to see this eclipse as, is like the moon and the sun coming into synchronicity, and use that as a sign that you too can have synchronicity. Like everyone that's watching this is worthy of having epic marriage. And I mean that with my whole heart. Like
Yeah.
I do get emotional a lot about this situation that people are facing in marriage. I had to tell you a story. Like I told this to the guys, and I got to tell it on here too. Chantel will testify to it because we work out together. We love working out together. We push each other, and we have a lot of fun with it. I know a lot of people say they can't work out together, couples, and I want to challenge that too. Everything we love to challenge: working together, working out together, all the things they say they can't do together. We just do it, and we have fun. And do we banter and challenge each other? Oh hell yeah! And she is definitely kicks my ass when it comes to cardio, no doubt. And then yeah, sometimes I do all right, sometimes I could do well. But the other day, last week we were at class, and it was spring break. So, beside I'm the only guy that comes, and I really don't care. Some men might maybe be bothered by that. I don't ever, it actually helps me to make sure I'm on point working harder. And so these young kids are there, and we talk about that our legacy will do what we do and say what we say. I'm going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So there was these two young kids that I hadn't met before.
The spring break.
Yes.
So the cool thing about our boot camp is that the moms, it's like in a garage, right? So it's in like a space that's kind of like a garage. Like there's not a big gym. There's not like the whole kiddie part where they go and they get watched by somebody that you don't know. If a mom needs to bring their child, they bring their child,
Yeah.
and they're responsible for the child. And I think that's really cool because
It is really awesome.
the
Kelly
kids
lets that
kind of
happen.
just like hang out separately. And so especially having spring break, we had more kids last week during our boot camp class.
So again, it's real. Like kids will always mirror and mimic us and say what we say. They just are amazing like that. They say the darndest things. You ever watch that? Bill Cosby. It's funny. Anyways, kids say the darndest things, and they do. It's real, and I enjoy that actually about kids. There was this little boy. I think he was probably about 5 or 6, and the girl was probably 3 or 4, somewhere in there. That's my guess. I don't actually know, but the little boy, first of all, is just like looks at me and he's like, "Why do you work out with all these girls?" Just right off the bat. I'm like, well, it's fun. I'm here to work out and get stronger. I just totally redirect. I'm like, what about you? You're here too. We can work out together. Now I'm not the only guy. And so he's a little guy, and he's running with us, and it was super cute. And then he's like showing me. So after the workout, he's like showing me his like Lego thing that he built, his car. And I'm like, our tractor thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he's like, yeah, my dad made it with me. Me and my dad made it together. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got the coolest dad on the planet. He spends time with you and builds stuff with you. Wow, he must be awesome. And just about that time, the little sister walks up and she goes, no, he's not. He works all the time and he's fat and lazy. I was like, oh. I was like, dude, kids say the darndest things. I go to the mom, like, do you hear your daughter? And I was expecting her to be like, what are you doing? She goes, well, you know, kids, they speak the truth. I was
She
like,
says, at least they don't lie.
at least they don't lie. I was like, oh my gosh, all right, all right. You're right. You're right. Okay, whatever. Point made. Anyways, it was funny. It was really hilarious. But my point in saying that was like I was talking to the guys about this, babe, how important it is to understand that our kids say what we say
Yeah.
and they do what we do. So, and I posted a video about Hazel, like her accomplishments in sports, our son in professional rugby. I really believe that part of that is because of our commitment. Like we're really committed to working out. We always have been. Like, man, back in the day when we first were together and we're in California on the beach, I loved my favorite thing was doing the stairs, yo. Like I'm telling you, this girl would be running up the stairs in front of me and I'd just be all day chasing that.
Still chases that.
I still do. Even more than ever. More than ever. Which is part of even our joy and gratitude of the couples that we get to work with and mentor. They're working on having epic, and there's we don't hold anything back. We talk about sex and intimacy and connection, how important that is, and how they're working on those things to always get better with all of our couples.
Well, and I think that because we're so passionate about it in our own marriage, right? We are really passionate in creating that for others, right? And seeing the rhetoric change as far as marriage and first of all, the confidence, the communication, and the commitment. Those are
right.
three things that make or break a marriage.
Yeah.
And those are three things that make or break intimacy. I mean, it's so real.
Mm-hmm.
And there's practical ways that we are intentional and purposeful to create what we have, to create epic, right? Create extraordinary. I mean, that's the definition of extraordinary.
Tell me about your women's
the
club.
extra.
Yeah, like Mondays are one of our busiest days. So we'll kind of work backwards because I had some cool revelation I want to talk about that I want you to talk about with me because I want to tell on myself in many ways. But I first want to hear about your mentorships and women's call.
What if it falls in line with what you're
well, then perfect. You tell your story first.
Okay.
And I give her permission to tell on me. Her husband.
Well. So
I love you.
So our women's call. I wanted to talk about motivation, like what motivates and inspires our clients, our women. What, because I'm recognizing, and I recognize today, when man, we came off of this rough weekend, not rough weekend, but like
a lot going.
3 weekends in a row of nonstop, right? So this morning I definitely had to fight the feelings of I want to go back to bed. I just want to go back to bed. But so anyways, I was talking about like what motivates and inspires and recognizing a couple of things that I had to tap into to actually get myself going and ready and out the door. One of them being a sprout, right? Recognizing a little victories, right? Last week, I, woke up in the morning, went in the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and I found I could see some abs. And I have a goal for 6-pack. So that's a big monument for me. I was like, okay, wow.
Me too, by the way. But right now I'm at a half a keg. She's actually showing part of her 6-pack.
So, I mean, it was a big deal for me. And it encouraged me, right? It encouraged me in this hard work, in those days that I feel like going back to bed, to tell my feelings to just, go shut up, and I'm going to go anyways. Right. So recognizing that that was part of it. And the other thing that I recognized was, Carlos and I go in and out of seasons, whether it has to do with, we're traveling for a good amount of time, or there's an injury, or we, for whatever reason, we have to take a break from working out consistently. And then there's the getting back on the train, right?
Yeah.
That
True.
hard season of mind over matter,
Pushing
through. And what I found, and I explained this, is that when those seasons, when you are trying to get me to take action and go, like, I feel more resistant than and like almost like a twinge of rebellion. Like, I'm just like, I just want to give you the double bird and tell you to kick rocks. Like, for real. Why? And so that's what
turns me on.
Then it turns him on. Anyway, it's that squirrel. So, but what happened was, so Carlos is exercising this muscle of validating my feelings, right? Exercising this muscle of really trying to not just skip over the feelings and go to the solution. Like, he's embracing the feelings, right? So he's being very diligent in working on that.
Is it time for me to share about that a little bit?
No, because I'm not going to finish. I'm going to finish my story and then you can share. So anyways, so this morning I come home from taking Hazel to school, and he says, "Hey babe, I know you're tired. It would totally be okay if you wanted to just rest." And I was like, okay, well, I've already got the pre-workout made, so we're going, right?
Secretly, I was hoping she'd say okay, and I can get ahead of her. I'm just kidding.
What?
So I could have an extra workout in to try to get ahead of you.
Oh, is that okay?
She didn't bite.
Anyways, but what I realized after the workout is, because I was processing that, and I'm processing myself, right? I'm looking at myself and trying to figure out like why did that feel so good for me, for him to say that? And what it was that he created the space and the freedom that it was okay for me to make a decision not to go, right? Which then made my decision to go that much more powerful, because I took ownership of my goals, my dreams. I own my decision, right? I'm not making the decision because he's encouraging me one way or the other. So when I own my decision, like, that boosts confidence. It increases confidence. It increases your commitment. And it also helps you reach your goals and dreams. And you're taking ownership and responsibility for your action and your inaction, right? So anyways,
that's what the women's call.
That was what the women's call was about. It was about, we were just kind of exploring, like, but we were exploring also, what does motivation and inspiration, like, in the midst of that,
What does it look like?
What does it look like? And
So good.
do you need accountability or do you need support?
Yeah, true.
And what does that look like, right? So yeah,
it's so good, man. Like, and by the way, replays are on school. You can go on school.com, epic your life. They're really good.
Jonathan's saying hi to you.
I might have to watch the replays because that sounds good. Yeah, my journey has last week and this week and last couple weeks. By the way, this is even goes into what we talked about when a woman has her superpower. A lot of y'all women and even men think that, okay, this is a time to avoid her, step off, and you know what I mean? Like, give her space because she's on one. We've heard all that. Well, upon research and studies in our personal studies and doing a lot of our own, like, just communicating with people, asking different questions, looking at it from a perspective of God can work all things together for good. But we believe that this is a curse for a woman to have PMS, premenstrual syndrome, right? Where she's moody, supposedly. What if it actually was a
Critical.
superpower, right? What if it was actually a superpower? And it was when she was more in tune, actually, to and more aware, or if her awareness, spidey senses, as we call it, is heightened. Number three, what if she has superhero-like confidence in that time? Be able to actually speak up and stand up to us as men. You look at it that way, it's super awesome. So when this amazing opportunity comes around every month, and look, I'm serious about that. I feel it, and I'm like, okay, because then Hazel too is in sync with her mom.
He gets a double portion.
And I'm like, okay. So, but I do lean in. I literally will. I'll make extra time because a lot of times there's pain associated, right, with cramps and things. First of all, I'm grateful because that means she can still have children. You're saying I got a chance. Number two is that it's like if I can help, massages, getting on the back, teaching you men something here, right? There's little things you can do to try to help and just comfort and hold even during that time. Holder, like those are precious times, and believe me, it's only like 1 or 2 days. So think about that for a minute. Like, so you got to press in during this time. What if all men did the opposite of what the world says to do, and pressed in, stepped in closer to her, and had an open mind, ear, heart, spirit. And so why I do that was sometimes it's like a big old hammer goes down on this man's ego. So it's like, you're not hearing me. That was the whole thing that we've been dealing with for the last couple months. And I'm like, so I'm trying different tactics. Leave it to me to come up with a strategy or a tactic. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to say, I hear you, babe. And I'm like, will that help? Okay. That's what we started with. Like, okay, but try that. I hear you. I hear you. Nodding. Yes, I hear you. She's like, but you're not hearing me. I'm like, what do you mean? And here's the reality, man. This is where you get to learn through this crazy cool process. Is like it had to do with that I'd jump straight to the solution. And guys will do that. We want to fix it, right? We want to help fix it. And so I would jump. There was a challenge or frustration she was dealing with. And I'm like, I hear you. So here's the solution. Let me help you see a better perspective. But here's what's cool about this. And we talked about this. So we had a cool conversation about it. Was I recognized that somewhere along the way, I created a belief. And I want you to recognize this. Because if you get stuck in a belief, it's going to be like me, where you actually just think everything is right or wrong, black and white. And oh well, if this messes with you, but it's not. It's not always black and white. Why do you think different disciples and things said, might be sin for you, but not for me, might be for me, but not for you? Like, it's because it's the heart behind it. Well, here's the black and white that I grabbed a hold of. That if, and probably who knows where it comes from. I mean, there's a lot of things I could create from my past and previous marriage, even where there was a lot of sickness and illness. And I felt like if I ever like agreed with that or whatever, who knows? I went on to this kick, of course, where everything needed to be positive, everything needed to speak life, that in all situations, right? And I do believe that has a higher benefit. But also, if we never, and I call it this now, if we never take a look at the darkness, if we never acknowledge the darkness, then will we really appreciate the light, the good things? And then will we actually hear people? And that's what was happening. I realized somewhere along the line, my actions proved my belief system. My belief was that I cannot like
Validate.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. That's what it comes down to. It's truly validation. So for instance, it's like,
So if I validate her feelings, then
she might continue to stay
she may
stuck in
stay
it.
there.
Like that's what my belief was. And we always say that, right? When you're recognizing that you're very dogmatic about something, it has to be done this way. You can stop and say, what do you believe about that? And why? Because that's really a profound thing to ask. It's a profound question. You should write that one down. What do you believe and why? Because it applies to so much. So literally, that's what we worked on for me was like what I believe about validating someone. That's where it hit. It was like, ooh. And part of it was her just keep telling me, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I heard you. Let me repeat it back to you. And she's like, but you're not. And I don't feel like you are because you want to jump right to the solution. You want to fix it. And you never hear me. And so here's the reality of what truly hearing someone means. To be able to validate them is to hear them. That's a good way to, she summed it up well with what she said. It's so true. She finally said that. And I'm like, I leave it to a man, bonk, or this man. I'm like, how do I validate you then? I'm like, I'm really not getting it. This is a true story. I was like, I love you. I want you to, I don't want you to feel like this. So how can I validate you? And I was not getting it. So that's why I know it was attached to a belief system because I really didn't have a clue on how to validate her. And some of you women out there right now watching this going like, are you kidding me? This is dumb. This is so easy. But it wasn't to me. I was like truly stuck. I was like, babe, can you just, but here's the cool part. First of all, I was willing to say that I don't know instead of thinking I knew because obviously I didn't know or else it'd be working. I thought I was validating by saying, I hear you.
Well, I think that's part of it too. So in the validation he got, so he went through his phases, right? I hear you. Okay. So you hear me. So then what are you going to do? You're going to repeat it back to me so that I know you heard me.
And I thought that worked too.
So then the assumption is that you understand what I'm saying. So just because you repeat back to me, no, you don't understand because you're still not validating the feeling and you don't have understanding of what I'm trying to say.
Men, are you taking notes? This is like freaking gold mine right here. This is gold mine, gold mine, gold mine, gold mine. So what it came down to was validating. Here it is. Dun, 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 the emotions, the feelings. Like that's super important. And I found myself like going like I'm a man who has so many words, and this is really getting me stumped. That's why I know I don't know this very well. Because I literally will pause and go like, it's really funny. But like, for instance, she'll be like, oh, my hand hurt, right? She hurt her hand golfing. And like the normal way is I'm like, well, let's put some ice on it. Let's put a brace on it. And it's right to the solution. Do you get it? Do you feel me?
No,
and
but what did you say?
What did I say? I said, well, that must really.
No.
What did I do wrong that time? I didn't do it right either that time. I probably didn't. I probably didn't do it.
You remember?
Right. She had to probably help me.
I did.
Yeah. What did
remember?
You, what
I was
say?
Like that.
See, it's so normal.
So
for me to go into the solution.
So I hurt my hand playing Top Golf, right? Where you're driving.
I think I said you're probably not holding it right or something, right?
Yeah.
You fix the way you're swinging it. Yeah. Do it more.
Because your response is, you'll be all right. Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. It'll get better. You're right. Okay. So
then I keep doing it and it keeps hurting more and more. And then so first it was just hurting my wrist. So he wasn't actually showing me even like it just you'll be all right. Just keep doing it.
It'll get better. It's just probably you're not used to it.
Then I swung and it popped inside my hand.
So here's the key. This is where it all gets better because this is really what I should have done. I should have from the beginning been like, oh my gosh, babe. I can't imagine. That must be really painful. Do you hear those words? But I literally have to stop and think of those words. Like, okay, how can I validate feelings and emotions
about how he responds, right?
Feelings and emotions in that situation. So it's real. And I'm telling you, this is like because I'm such a solution guy and positive, 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 like, oh, I can't acknowledge the darkness or the pain. That's what I've recognized. Like, that's the belief that I had is it's not beneficial to acknowledge the darkness or the pain. We'll see how I just went all the way over here where I
Yeah,
can
so
never
what
have went
happens on the flip side? What is the feeling that causes for somebody who's expressing their feelings? You're
right.
skipping completely over the feelings.
That's right. I don't
So
give
my
a shit
feelings
about them.
don't matter.
Yeah, I don't care about them. That's what it comes
My
across.
voice doesn't matter
Yeah.
because I've expressed my feeling. So it's a double whammy, right?
See, even Jonathan agrees. He's celebrating with Chantel over and over.
He loves my voice.
He's validating her with a cheer. So I don't even know if you guys can hear that. Sometimes it cancels out loud noise and isolates our voices. It's kind of cool technology, but so as a result of this, it was a very powerful weekend with our daughter because daddy kind of got triggered. And then I brought negative emotions, which then caused her to be triggered. My daughter brought negative emotions. And once we start that, then we're both stubborn because we're a lot alike. Because we want to be validated, but neither one of us wants to give in and validate the other.
Avoid it.
So then we ignore each other. And I'm a good dad. So then I'll kiss her and love her and talk to her. But she's like, my daughter. So she doesn't say anything really, or she avoids me. And anyways, bottom line was it actually worked so freaking good. And I remember thinking about it like, okay, I got to plan this out. If I'm going to talk to her, how am I going to say this? And Chantel had kind of coached me on it. She's like, look, validation, blah, blah, blah. Of course. And so the one thing that I said was, okay, I can understand how you must have felt. Because what happened was she had a horrible game. She played 2 games that were just really bad. And they lost. And she played bad. It wasn't pretty. But she knew that. She's not dumb. She knew that. And she was pissed about playing so bad and felt horrible because she had a horrible game. And then here's dad that's mad on top of it because I felt like I let her down by not practicing with her all week.
But she doesn't feel that he feels that he let her down.
Right.
She just feels his frustration.
Yeah.
So it compounds how she feels about how she played, right? Can you see that? See the picture?
Yeah. So I'm negative, she's negative. Yeah. And then, yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, I come off and Carlos is walking up and I can see it all over her face that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. And I was like, you need to communicate. So that's my response.
Yeah.
And of course, she's like, nope.
I don't want
she
to lecture.
chooses to not communicate. So she goes, avoids. Then he's in the same boat. I got both of them dealing with the same stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is fun.
So Sunday morning, this is like Saturday, which by the way, she is an amazing athlete. She had 2 bad games. We didn't have any kind of resolution or didn't get the problem solved.
She went in and she
but that's my point. Game. That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to validate the fact that she's awesome. She's a truly amazing athlete because some athletes, they get in a slump and they just snowball. But she has a good mind. And literally, even though we still had this little tension, because I didn't lecture her, but I asked her a question that triggered her even more. What did you learn? Of course, that's my love language. Always wanting to learn something from her. I'm like, you don't lose, you learn. So what'd you learn? She's like, I don't know what I learned. And I didn't validate her. See, that's the lack of validation. See, just so you know, that's a true understanding of lack of validation.
And lack of understanding timing.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, look, the bottom line is it was wrong altogether. I mean, not beneficial altogether. We try to stay away from right and wrong, right? So it's not beneficial. You're right, 100%. So then she goes back in game 3, and now I'm not going to say anything because that was part of it. When you were yelling at me, you were,
She hadn't expressed that yet, but
Mama did.
Told him.
Yeah, she told me because she expressed it to me. And so I'm like, all right, fine. I'm not going to say anything then. And so I didn't. I just clapped. Left my voice out of it because I'm stubborn. And so anyways, but she came back and dude, she led her team to victory. I was super proud of her. Like she snapped out of it. She truly is amazing. It did bless me. Like that to me is the mind game. and she played well. So then, but there's still more ignoring, and she goes with her friends and avoidance, right? It's really funny. And so then even that night, she avoids again, goes to sleep without saying goodnight, really. So we get up and give her a kiss and tell her goodnight. But then the next morning, she's going to head out again to the games. We're like, nope, we're not doing that. You don't play till this afternoon. Let's work on this. Well, I have to tell you, like, life is all about cycles. We've talked about this before. And this is a cycle that happens with her and I. It is really about she and I, because we're the most alike in that way. Like when the conflict happens, her and her mom are great about conflict. She and I, we're both stubborn and we're a lot alike when it comes to conflict. It's the mind game. She's super smart. She's even smarter than I am, actually. So we both play this psycho mind game with each other. And so, anyways, sometimes it's lasted weeks before.
I don't know that it's lasted weeks. May feel like weeks.
No. There was one couple of years ago, a few years ago, that was weeks, and then it's shrunk down to days. And I'll tell you, it was awesome because this was literally like less than 24 hours. It really was. It was super powerful. Again, my willingness to be like, yep, I'm the problem here as a dad. I'm the adult. I'm the dad here. So I went to her and I was like, first of all, Chantel does a great job of setting it up, right? And understanding the trigger that took place. But then and Hazel expressed, hey, I knew I played like shit.
Well, at first she didn't want to do anything.
She didn't want to communicate.
So her default
just
is
a cycle.
Yeah, her default cycle is I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to move on and whatever. So, really encouraging her to express her feelings, that it is safe, that her feelings matter. They are valid, right?
And her voice matters. And she said,
and so all of a sudden she just, and I'm like,
it was good.
Love it. It's so good to have it right here in front of us so that we can deal with it. You know what I mean? I'd much rather have blah than whatever you think.
Well, and she admitted it. This is a beautiful thing too. She said, I know I played like shit. and Dad's mad at me for it. And I didn't want the lecture. And I was like, and then you asked me, what did I learn? I gotta tell you what I learned. I don't know. And I had the pressure and and I was like, okay. And then I practiced what we've been practicing. I worked on it. And I was like, okay. So I can understand how frustrating that must be, that here you already were disappointed in yourself for the way you played. And then Dad adds more disappointment and frustration with it. What is it that I can do? Because that's actually what Chantel, I'll be honest, she told me to ask that. What is it that I can do to best support you in those situations? Man, the most precious answer.
So let me go there first real quick, because the first day, the day one, when he's frustrated and they're triggered and stuck, and I'm talking to him, his defense and response was, well, I'm not going to baby her.
That's right.
Okay. Now let me say this. Like, I agree with not babying your child. I agree with that. Okay. So, but agreeing with not babying your child and not validating your feelings are two different things.
That's a good point.
So don't get it twisted.
That's a good point.
Okay. Exactly. So,
which you made that clear.
My encouragement to him was, yes, you played like shit. What do you need from me in these times?
Yeah. How can I
best support you in the midst of that? Right? Because clearly what's all over me is not encouraging you. Right? So you don't have to baby her.
Right. It's even that communication of asking what, and that's even what, now go back to the women's call and go back to everything we've kind of shifted, even with the community, is, hey, how can we best support you? Because you are what matters and making you most important. That's what we've shifted to big time this last couple of weeks, even. But even more so, like today being a new work day, it's like, okay, we got to apply this to the community and the people we're serving and blessing and working with and partner with, right? So point being, is that in that moment, like she had the most incredible answer, right? You're still waiting for the answer. I'm back to the story. I'm good at stories, right? I'm a lion. Can you tell? Sorry, right here. So the lion tells good stories. Anyways, I man, I lost my train. Oh, so I said to her, how can I best support you in this situation? And she gave me the best answer. She says, well, Daddy, if you just come up to me and hug me and hold me, she's like, then I'll feel comfort and loved by you. And then we're gonna ask you, what can I do to improve? I was like, oh,
She's like, I want to hear from you. I know you can see something that the other team is doing, that I'm doing.
man,
Like,
that's some fruit right there.
she
Because we
wants
talked about that
feedback.
question. Yes, she does. She wants to
She just
improve, though.
needs to know that it's safe
That's right.
and that she's
That's
loved
right.
and supported in
That's
the
right.
midst of playing like shit.
Yeah. And
Right?
messing up, right?
And
We
it's
all
okay.
want to be loved and accepted, even though we mess up. That's the reality. Is like that she wants to know that no matter how she performs, that it's not about her performance. She's still my girl. She's still
That's
my baby
right.
girl. And I admitted to her, I said, baby, it wasn't even about you. It was actually me feeling like I failed as a father by not preparing you for this tournament. Like that's really what it comes down to. So then I'm a loser. That's my weakness. Okay, I'm a horrible father. And then all that negativity just
So how does your own story
trigger.
affect how you respond to others?
Yeah, it's a good point. Super good.
I mean, that's huge, right?
Mhm. So I said to her in that moment, like right in the moment, I love doing this. It's like, so can we try again? She's like, huh? What? Can we try again? Can we have a do-over? She's like, okay. And so I just hugged her and I said, I'm sorry you had a bad game. I love you. I believe in you. Because that's mama's words. Help me with that too. And that is important that our kids hear that. I admit that. I know that's important. When Chantel said, I'm like, you're right. That's exactly the words they want to hear. I love you and I believe in you. And I just held her and she like it shifted things like that, bam, that quick. So the cycle was over. Like I knew it was broke through. Like that's the result we're always looking for is how can we improve, how can we grow, and how can we get more connected and sync as a family through that situation. And my gosh, what an awesome day. What an in sync. We had fun together. We laughed together as a family, the three of us. We were listening to music. I was listening to some of my motivational stuff. And then she asked me about like okay, what do you think, Dad? What was it? I said, it's simple. You didn't practice. You didn't touch the volleyball all week. You had a week off for spring break and you never touched the volleyball. But that's why I felt bad because I could have simply taken you outside and hit the ball with you and you would have been a totally different player the first two games. And I know that just keeping you fresh and touching the ball makes all the difference. So I'm like, that's it, babe. That's it. Just remember that. You can't go a whole week of not playing, not practicing, not touching a ball, and then step on a court and think, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be awesome. Nobody is. Like, nobody is.
Yeah.
We have to stay consistent. I said, I couldn't do that in my line of work either. I have to stay fresh. I have to keep growing and learning. So it's really powerful. And then we just had fun. Like, then she played like a boss. Like she owned the court. They won, they won the first one straight, first two, and then they lost the second one, but they lost it by 1 point in the third.
Yeah, they showed up and
really awesome.
she played awesome.
She did. She led her team so well. We're super proud of her. And so that's the part of what a revelation that was, and just being willing to work through this whole process that started literally while Chantel was confident enough to say, dude, you're not listening. You're not hearing me. And I'd be like, what do you mean?
Well, and I just want to share this, like, it's really powerful. I'm so grateful for your humility and your desire to grow in all of it. You know what I mean? And I also wanted to share with you fruit that I found on the women's call.
Okay.
So as I'm talking about, what motivates and inspires and how do you feel supported, right? What does that look like? We had a client who shared that she had some homework or action items, right, to take care of, and she didn't. And so her story her old story of failure and shame, guilt, condemnation, right? Started playing and going. And so when you were scheduled for a call with her, she avoided you like the plague, right? She tried everything she could to get out of the call. You called her and then she still didn't take the call, and then she had to call you back, right? So, but the fruit of that is that in that call, you loved her, you created a new story in your love, in your support, in your
I
validation.
did validate her. I remember that call
And so
because of your wisdom. Thank you.
I just want to celebrate that sprout, that was very beneficial in creating a new story and creating a safe place, and really showing support and love in the journey, right?
That's awesome.
In the journey. So congratulations.
Thank you. I received that.
Yeah.
Just bless it. Really good. Really, really good.
So
This is what we do. We love what we do. We love the people we get the opportunity to yoke with and serve. It's really cool operation, cool situation, cool.
yes, absolutely.
Cheers, baby. Yummy, yummy. Cheers to you. I'm watching too.
So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah.
It was kind of fully loaded. We have a lot to share.
Yes.
It is good and it is powerful. And yes, we still deal with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a marriage out there or a family out there that doesn't deal with stuff, right?
Mhm.
It's in the how. And
That's
and
right. Super good.
and that was the other thing that I want to just really hone in on. The how and the why
Mhm.
are important. They're really important. And so
And mastery has nothing to do with getting to a place of where we've arrived. No, it's just acknowledging that we will never arrive. So we got to continue to work on it. We have freaking awesome marriage. Don't get me wrong, it's epic. And I will stand it up against anybody else's marriage because I've never seen one as good as ours. I just haven't. I've looked for it on purpose. But I love it and I continue to love it and it continues to get better. That's the reality of what we do. And I love what we do. And my favorite part is getting to work with her and getting to learn from her and learn together and grow together. So thank you. I love the queen. You're amazing. I love you. Cheers till tomorrow. Coffee Connect.
Coffee Connect.
Tomorrow. Wow. We get
Yeah.
to just keep processing. It's a long one tonight. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Have a good night. Thanks
Good
for the
night.
support.